Never been streamed dabbing.
That's a fucking lie, and you know it.
No, it's the truth.
That's a
ever
fucking
dabbed in
lie.
Dungeons, like before the scene change.
Nah, I don't know about that one, guys. But hey,
I'm pretty sure we've caught you at least once. But
yeah.
No?
Hey, hi.
Listen, I got bottom frag to dab on stream, so I can get you to dab on stream. All right, so.
How dare
You
you
made me
make
throw a
Andy
cannon on
besmirch
the
his
stream.
stream like that?
I mean, it wasn't my stream because he was guesting on Past Assault, so it was on my stream. So like, it didn't besmirch his stream per se.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
that's fine.
But it definitely
That's
we've
besmirched.
also seen Natty dab before too, because we did it on.
Homie, we have a picture of us three, like all three of us,
Yeah, no,
just
that's what I'm
like
saying.
being
Yeah, I
hella,
posted
being
it as
hella
well.
You know, he
idiots.
refused to do it when he gets to
my
him. Just
PP
like,
But
No,
hey,
Natty.
we're back. Dungeon Select. Let's roll some dice.
Roll.
Yes, please, because I have beautiful new dice to roll.
I'm jealous.
New time.
Your turn to roll.
All right. So, any announcements before we?
I'm just very excited about my dice. That's my
your
only.
boy- Your boy is back at streaming. Rest in peace, my hiatus. I'm actually fucking doing it again, I guess. Smart.
Party, bro. Okay.
Okay.
I saw a Pokemon ROM hack,
Oh my
and
god.
it's
okay.
amazing. It's definitely
Okay.
not streamer friendly,
Oh, okay.
but it's
Why?
fucking
Is
because
it Moemon?
it's Pokemon.
What makes it not streamer friendly?
Because some of the Pokemon in there
Full
have
of titties.
no,
Yeah.
not titties,
Oh.
just little racists like
Oh,
undertones.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's just like overall.
I know the one you mean.
Overall, it's just a fucking hilarious like
Does
ROM hack.
Diglett have a one-letter name change?
No. It's Pokemon Clover. And
Oh.
it's a fucking gem, dude. I've seen gameplay of it, and I'm like, man, that's
Yeah.
like it's a good like
meme.
it's a good meme overall. Because like the Pokemon professor is like this like, hey, how you doing? Like that like type of.
Oh my god.
And like the rival is this edgelord, and like the Pokemon professor constantly calls him a fucking edgy twat and shit like that. It's fucking funny, dude. It's hilarious, and I feel like it's something Koi will appreciate. His off
Yeah,
time.
but
when
they
he's
are
not
a
streaming.
lot of them. It's such a shame. That's the problem with a lot of ROM hacks. They're like usually made by very edgy people, and they're very the joke can be serious. Here's a funny joke to be
Because-
funny, and it's
yeah.
just straight up like
Yeah, because
not gonna fly on like
shock factor. Like that's literally it.
Pokemon Clover.
or they were made
characters. Trending pages.
Mm.
or they
Give
were
me a guy with a Guy
Kimmy.
Fawkes mask.
yeah.
Tumblerita. Kexandra.
Yeah,
Mom.
It's just
Kanye.
a fucking.
Darude and Brock.
Yeah,
Or a
it's
lot
just-
of them were made like over a decade ago, where that comedy was like
Yeah. But it's just I saw
more
gameplay of it, and I
accepted
was
in the
like,
sense of, like,
man,
because-
that's funny.
people you know,
Yeah.
were worse 10 years ago. but
Yeah,
now
exactly.
They're good now.
There was one like ROM hack, Pokemon Uranium, that was like actually really good, but Nintendo shut it down, and I was like, oh man, that's
It's
sad.
because it got big. It got too big.
It got more popular than the actual like Pokemon Sun and Moon. That's why.
It got like.
But it was like a
overcovered
genuine.
now.
It was not edgy, not haha funny. It was genuinely good. The
Which
guy
also why they shut it down, because it was like a good
the
game.
guy made like his own like actual like fully original 151 new Pokemon and shit like that, and
Pokemon Ash Gray is one of my
Nintendo
favorite
was
ones.
like, no, you know. So
I like Pokemon Ash Gray a lot. But again, it's... anyway, D&D.
Anyway, yes. Any
Anyway.
announcements besides Koiba's return to streaming? Anything?
Well, just anyone wondering why Belle's not here? I'm sure you've
Oh,
seen
yeah,
her
obviously,
tell you in
yeah.
the chat, but yeah, she is preparing for surgery tomorrow, and
Yeah.
so
So-
no Belle today physically in
Yes.
here in camera person.
Gypsy will be in charge of Octanus, so anything that happens goes wrong because Octanus did it. It's not Belle's fault this time. It's Gypsy's. So
Oh, so Gypsy's playing.
Unless
You're not
she
playing
sends
the
me
character.
messages.
no, it's
Okay.
just when players are not there, it's easier for me as a DM to have player characters be played by
Yeah,
other
yeah, for
players because you know I could subconsciously make a decision because I know the plots and that's not really
That's
there.
true.
I'm
You
the
know?
Travis to her Jester.
See, that's hard though. I feel like,
Yikes.
and I'm about to get. I don't know if
saying
I
you're
trust
about
anyone in this group enough to play other than Dutch to play Trim. I
You're
don't
gonna,
know.
you're gonna
I
have
mean,
to at
it
some
just-
point.
It would just be. I mean, it just
You
been
played
combat.
Trim in the past, Dutch, but I get why it's a struggle, like
Yeah.
you said, for subconscious influencing of
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. I have a little announcement, I guess. My fucking mental health is an all-time low, so I'm taking a little time off streaming. I'll still be streaming throughout the next upcoming few weeks, but just not on schedule. Basically, just kind of like I'll go live when I feel like it, and if not, then I won't. It's because I've been going through a lot of shit, and my mental health's taking a little bit of a beating, man. And like I had a lot of time like just talking with everybody about shit. Like I talked to Gypsy about it very briefly. Talked to Hanzo. Talked to Duke. I was just like, man, I need to step down a little bit and just take some me time. So that's what I'm doing.
Sounds good. Because that comes first.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, exactly. But there'll still be, you know, like Dungeon Select is some good old escapism that I need every week. So not stopping that or not taking a break from that at all. Because you know, when you're feeling shitty, diving into a world that you made up and stuff is great. So here we are. I think if that is everything, we're ready to get into it, huh?
Yeah.
Play some motherfucking D&D, boys.
Play some D&D, and this is where we would roll the intro if we had one.
Stairs at Gypsy.
Stairs at Gypsy.
In progress.
Has been for almost a year.
My life.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah,
Well,
no, it's all
but
good, it's all good.
Gypsy's life imploded, so.
Yeah. Multiple times.
Yeah, but
On the
no,
subject of
once it's there, it's gonna be lit though. So you know, like it's gonna happen
On
at
the
some point.
subject
You know.
Of life imploding.
Oh,
My mum's moderately better.
hell yeah!
And might go back to work in the next like
Whoa.
2
That's
weeks.
awesome. That's awesome.
So I might be streaming again in the next 2 weeks.
Hell yeah, dude.
Let's
yeah.
go, dude.
Good on your mom. That's awesome. But yeah, so last week, the party that is known as the Heroes of Exile spent roughly a week traveling from Kalzir to a orc camp settlement, if you will, in the Burning Scar called Polin, where they encountered a bunch of bombs and balloons, presumably ready to fly into the Valenforest and bomb several of the camps to try and take a foothold there as well, as the Valenforest is definitely at a tactical disadvantage with the way the Empire looks, and it's kind of cut off from the rest of the province or the continent, and was being led by what seemed to be an Oni, an ogre-like creature that got exposed to arcane influence that altered its body and gave it inert magical abilities. The party fought and dismantled the camp, but the Oni unfortunately got away. And then right at the butt end of the fight, some druids that were scouting the camp came out of hiding and pretty much just summoned a bunch of roots and vines and completely pulled the entirety of the camp underground, explosives and all. Similar to what happened to Ulet's house when you guys left it, the entire house just like sank into the ground. That's kind of what happened. And now there's just sand and charred earth where once the camp was. So I'm gonna have to edit the map of the Burning Scar because that place no longer exists. And you were then kind of gathered your party, and these three druidic scouts agreed to take you into the Valenforest, take you to the border, and through transportation via plants or via trees, get you to the nearest druidic camp. But you're not quite there yet, so you still have a little bit of walking to do, a few hours. What do you guys want to do?
I'm just looking around super like quiet and anxious and nervous because I'm like, I've probably like trained or worked with or like been around most of these people at some point, but it's been so long of shunning humanoid contact, I've forgotten most of them and I feel awkward. So
I'm gonna be kind of looking at Trim to see like if she like in this is like what's she doing, like going on wise, is she like
I'm like fiddling. I'm like fiddling with my harness basically a lot and like smoothing my clothes and just lots of anxious fidgeting.
it's more of a just like I don't know what the customs are of this place. You just kind of look at you if you do
I
anything
mean,
like.
you're not like you're still it is currently, however, very late at night, and you're all relatively tired.
Or if there's any like chit, if you're doing any chit chat with anyone being like, oh, what's going on in conversation? But apart from that, just walking, just keeping on the road.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep an ear out, but I assume if the elves speak, it will be in a language I don't understand, unless they're addressing us.
You do hear the elves kind of like have a little back and forth about something that indeed you do not understand.
Is it druidic? So do I know what are they speaking like an elf language?
They're speaking Elvish.
Okay.
So
I'm pretty sure I don't.
Narankel will get a basic gist of the conversation. They're basically discussing what they think is the best way to move forward now that the camp has been taken down. How do we avoid dangers like this in the future? And you hear them mention that the elders will need a little more convincing before they will step down from the decision to use something that is being called the emergency protocol, which you have an idea of what that is. It's been explained to you before. And over the next couple of hours, you reach the edge of the forest. There's a little part of kind of like a no man's land between Burning Scar and the Valenforest, where there's the ground slowly transitions from this charred reddish color to a more green, grassy, shrubbery. You can see in the distance the border of the Valenforest. Some relatively simple wooden walls with towers and a bunch of archers set in the towers, keeping a lookout. You can see in the wooden walls there's several harpoons kind of like planted in the wall, presumably shot from the Burning Scar to the wall in previous attempts to try and see if they could invade. And eventually you get led to a gate, and just seeing the three elves that are guiding you, it's a wood elf at the tower near the gate kind of like raises her hand, and the gate opens, and you are being guided to a very large tree, large enough for one of the druids to start casting a spell. And this is a spell that only Trim has really seen before, as in this tree a giant yellow doorway appears, just yellow energy swirling, and the tree almost seems to expand a bit in size, and and it's almost like just a portal that is being embedded straight into the tree. And the elves kind of look at you. This portal will lead you to the nearest camp. We'll come with you and speak to the elder to provide you with bedding for the night, and I assume that the elder will like to speak to you in the morning. But for now, I think it's best to get some rest. It's been a long night for all of us.
Alright, I appreciate that. And I'll step through.
Okay.
You're muted, Laura.
You mean Laura?
Oh, she talking?
Sorry. Yeah, just nod my head and go ahead and walk through after Narunk.
Okay.
I'll follow Trim.
Follow Nicole.
All right, and the three elves all follow you. And Elevantir, before you guys step in, kind of looks around and is like, he seems as someone who is, who has experienced magic before, he's never really been in close contact with a lot of druidic nature-based magic, so he's because even in the Feywild, where he has been a lot, the magic there is more arcane than nature-based because of the sheer way the Feywild functions. And you can see not discomfort on his face, but just awe, just like, wow, this is also a thing. But eventually also steps through, and then the elves follow. and you appear on the outskirts of what seems to be a camp. Several large tents set up, some wooden huts as well, and in the middle a large, almost like very a teepee type tent, but large, huge, set up in the middle with training grounds and some gardens and some fruit trees kind of in a field together. And one of the elves immediately starts running towards the middle tent, and you guys kind of get set at the edge of the camp, told to wait for a little while. And after a few minutes, the elf comes back. There's an empty hut over there, and she points, and you can see a hut that she's pointing at, like at the edge of the camp. She'd provide you with enough bedding for the night, and in the morning, Elder Nolani would like to have a word with you, if that's all right. And the elves then proceed to move on into the camp on their own, and you're kind of left to your own devices.
Can I tell which of the 4 camps we're at based on surroundings, or no? Do they all look pretty indistinguishable?
They look indistinguishable, but Elder Nalani rings a bell. This is Camp Tahanu, the
okay.
northwestern camp in the Valenforest.
Got it.
Yes.
Looks at the map of the Valenforest. Okay.
Cool. I will just go find the tent they gestured at and just go start unrolling like my bedroll and getting cozy.
Okay.
I'll go in there as well.
Yeah, this as you walk in, the hut is very simple, it's very bare bones. There's enough beds for all of you to have one. A very basic kitchen. That's really it. You get the impression that the people that live in these camps live a very simple life when it comes to, possessions and all that. It's definitely not a city or a town. It's very much a camp.
Nice.
So, with that, it is very late at night. It's closer to morning than it is to evening at this point. Way beyond any of your bedtime. So as soon as you enter the hut, immediately you all claim a bed, and there's not much you can do before you just pass out from just being awake for so long and having fought a pretty intense fight. And you wake up the next morning. It is still relatively early. Like, you've slept enough to get a long rest, but not much more than that. You're woken up by a knock on the door.
Go. I will go to the door if no one else will.
Okay. You open the door and you kind of like look forward and then look down a bit as there's a halfling dressed in these brown robes. It seems to be a relatively young boy, almost taller than Trim. Like he's in his like early teens, but Trim is a very small halfling. Wearing what looks like a kind of like a flower circlet on his head, looking up at you. Elder Nilani would like to speak to you, if that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, should be good. I'll turn around, assume everyone else is awake.
Yeah.
And just be like, yeah, I mean, guess we'll just head on over there. Lead the way.
Can I ask him in the halfling language if there are any more halflings in the camp right now, or is it just the 2 of us?
He responds in halfling. There's a handful of us. Not many, but a few.
Okay, and I'll again still like my normal stuttering a little bit because of anxiety, but saying back in halfling basically, oh, that's Well, that's nice to hear. There weren't many. I was pretty much the only one for a long time. So I hope you're enjoying it here.
Yeah, it's good. I being trained by with the other halflings in you know, nature-based magic, and people are good to me here, so it's all right.
Pack up my stuff and get ready to follow him to wherever we're told to go.
All right. You take some time to, you know, gather your belongings, get back into, you know, some of you wearing plate mail
Take
that I
10 minutes to put on my
was gonna
plate
say
mail.
can't imagine they sleep in, so they take the time to put on their plate mail and all that.
I'll ask Nicole for help and take 5 minutes.
I just funny
instead.
image of
Yeah,
him
I'll help him.
Trim trying to help and like almost falling over, holding up like the breastplate.
Fucking
I'm now
make sure the
imagining
straps
Trim
are
in
on.
Bran's armor with like just like the hands sticking out of the chest piece.
Yeah.
And as you step out, Narank, the boy kind of looks at you and then looks up at your hat.
Oh no.
Are you aware that there's a crab on your hat? Is that...
And that I am. He's a special little friend. His name's Carlos.
Carlos? Alright. Don't get to see many, you know, crabs and stuff around here. Mainly forest-based animals.
He likes traveling.
Alright, alright, so if you would like to follow me, and he guides you to this, you know, large teepee-like tent in the middle of the camp. The tent itself seems to be in a variety of colors, various depictions of animals and plants, and a large yellow sun. And in the middle of the tent, you can kind of see through, like under the fabric, and there seems to be really nothing in the tent besides just a large platform with a desk on it, some chairs and a table. You get the sense this is like the official town like meeting. Whenever there's meetings to be held, they're in this tent. Otherwise, the tent is not really being used for anything else. And Trim, you recognize this because you had one in the camp you grew up in, and this is very much just a. It is very much like the town hall, but
Yeah.
it's really just an official meeting place, and that's that. It's nothing else. There's nothing really else that happens there. Excuse me. As you're being guided up the steps onto the platform under the fabrics, you see a female furbolg, brown fur-covered skin, 2 floppy ears kind of drooping down, and a very cow-like nose, with a beautiful white wooden staff decorated with some green baubles hanging from the top. Naronk, I would like you to roll a history check.
This thing go real good.
Boom, boom, boom.
13. A lot better ones.
You've seen this staff somewhere. You're not sure where, but you recognize the staff somehow.
Alright.
As this furbolg sees all of you approach, she kind of like spreads her arms. Welcome. Please, if you'd have a seat, I have some things I'd like to discuss with you. But first off, I want to thank you for aiding us the way you did last night. Taking down that orc encampment has definitely given us more time to muster our defenses in case of a next attack. And you have our gratitude.
Well, there's definitely going to be more. They mentioned a city full of orcs and whatever else.
Yes, our scouts have not really been able to travel deeper into the Burning Scar, because as much as I'd like to know the lay of the land there, I don't want to risk my people dying at the hands of those savages. If you have any more information, that'd be very useful. But now that that camp has been taken down, we can send scouts a little deeper into the Burning Scar in that direction, and who knows what they'll find.
That's quite the interesting staff you got there.
She kind of looks at the staff, like in her hand, looks at you. Yes, quite. May I ask why the interest in this stuff?
Just reminds me of something I've seen before.
Fair enough. Right. I summoned you here not just to thank you. I'm also aware that, or at least very sure that you are the group they call the Heroes of Exile. Am I correct?
That would be us, yeah.
Figured as much. Ding dong.
Oh fuck, that's my door.
Fuck, that's what I do.
Oh fuck. Figured as much. You've worked pretty close with the Empress before, right?
We have.
That's good. Later this day, a meeting will be happening in Milranlona, the capital city, the only city in the Valenforest, the only city that has the Empire's connections, as this province is still very much part of the Empire, but due to our traditions, the Empress, at the founding of the Empire, agreed to just have one foothold in this province, which is that city. We still answer to the Lord Regent and the Empress, but most of the decisions being made within our borders are done by a council of elders, one elder for each camp, one of which is me. And later today, there's a meeting to be had in the city with the other elders and the Lord Regent about the safety measure we have in place in case of incoming attacks. Some of the elders think it's best to transport this province to the Feywild, possibly forever. I, however, do not agree with this decision because our connection with the Empire is good, and I'm convinced the Burning Scar will be retaken by the Empire in due time. May I ask what the reason is for you to be here? Because if the Heroes of Exile are within our borders, that can't be... I doubt you're here on a vacation.
Not exactly. See, I live here normally, and there before I left, I went to find the heroes because there's someone in the forest who I think is a bigger threat even than the orcs in the Burning Scar. He is part of this really scary cult that has really giant plans to do very bad things, and they wear masks and they're abducting dragonborns, and they tend to hurt everyone, not just dragonborn. And there's one of them here, and if you teleport the forest away, then you take him with you, and he's going to be trapped here, and he's probably going to do even worse things.
She looks at you and is really trying to take in what you're saying. Well, if that's true, we have to let the other elders know, because we cannot allow the transportation if there's a threat within our borders. Do you have any proof, any evidence that backs this claim up? That I can provide to the other elders to try and convince them?
You can just ask the animals. That's where, I only briefly caught a glimpse of the person before. I didn't really want to get close because they're very powerful, and I didn't really know about them. But all the animals were talking about the just brutal killings and for no reason, like some unnatural thing is in the woods, and they all know, and they can feel it, and it's hurting them.
And you can see her kind of like stare at you, but not like directly at you. She's more like staring into space, just in your direction. And suddenly your eyes like widen a bit. That's could explain the other stories. Kind of like mutters to herself, not in a way that she's not trying to be heard. She's just kind of like thinking out loud. A few weeks ago, we started getting reports from some of our scouts within the forest that there's, to the south of the capital city, there is a lot of dead trees that started to rot, and we inspected the tree site and could not determine a reason for the trees to start just dying out of thin air. So, if you're on the search for this evil individual, I suggest going there, and maybe you guys can find something that we missed.
Okay.
I'll take this information to the council, and hopefully they agree that transporting to the Feywild is not the best solution, at least not for now. Thank you. I have to go immediately. Feel free to make yourselves at home in the camp. That hut that you stayed in can be yours for as long as you need it. So I do have to depart to the capital city and try and convince these more rash elders to try and listen to reason for once in their life. She kind of nods her head at you and takes her leave. And you guys are left in the teepee-like tent.
Just look at the group and go, well, you heard her. Let's go south.
I guess south is the way we travel.
Do you know how long of a travel it is from like here to like to the capital at least? Because it's south of the capital, right? So like.
That is an excellent
Is it-
question. Do I
it-
know how long it is?
How does Trim know roughly how big the Valenforest is?
Roughly.
Other than
Trim,
it's big.
you know that from this camp is roughly a day worth of traveling south to get to where your hut is.
If I was gonna say, because I want to kind of detour around city past my house and then go down.
And then from your hut, it's another day south to get to the camp you grew up in.
Okay.
And from your hut, a day or so east is Milrenlona, the capital city.
Yep.
And they mentioned south of the capital city. So whether you go all the way to your camp you grew up in and go east, or you go to the capital city and go south, will roughly take you the same amount of time. So it's up to you guys what path you want to take, really.
All right. Well, it's gonna be about 2 or 3 days of travel. Regardless, I can't do the tree thing yet. So we'll have to walk. But we'll have a place we can stop overnight, because we can stop at my house. It's a bit small, but I think we'll fit in there. And I look up at Nicole, kind of like gauging my head. I'm like, yeah. And then from there we just go around the city and then south for like another, so like a day to my house, and then like a day or two past that to get to this place.
I mean, is there anyone that you would know of that we could potentially convince to send us like straight there? Cut out some of that walking time.
Roll a history check, Trim.
I was like, 'cause I had in my head, I can only think of one person who it would be, but I don't really want to ask them. History, that's first roll on the new dice in game is a 12. So,
Hey.
Average.
You know that the spell required to travel through trees the way you did last night is a pretty powerful one. You need some experienced druids, and although you may be able to find one or two in this camp, you also know that it's trying not to really use spells like that unless they really have to. Because it's definitely more of like a, in case of emergency, break glass type of thing.
Yeah.
So like if they quickly have to like get out of somewhere because of an imminent attack or whatever, that's when they'll use it. Other than that, they'd like to just kind of walk around, travel on foot through the forest.
Yeah. So to say, even if I did know someone, they probably wouldn't do it because it's not very common, and it's very, from what I can understand, it's just a very tiring spell, and it's kind of like a backup plan, escape quickly thing rather than a regular use of travel thing. Plus, I wouldn't mind stopping by my house, just making sure things are okay there, you know.
Is there any way we could travel through the forest any faster? Like, you know, they got like horses around here that we could ride through, or is it like a little too thick
Rock,
around the forest?
what are you against walking for? Gosh, a nice little trek through the forest.
all right. Hey, we've been spending a little time on an airship. I've kind of gotten used to not having to walk so much. Right?
When he says,
Well, then it'd be good to have a walk.
I was gonna go, you don't look that out of shape, and then look at Narok.
That's not the fact
Looks
that
like
I'm
his
out of
beer
shape,
belly
it's
is
just,
developing.
you know,
Elevator kind of like elbows Naronk in the back as Trim says that and just kind of chuckles.
Like, if you really need to, I can become a horse, and you can ride on my
hurt
back
him.
if you really don't want to walk.
Don't.
that's all
yourself.
right. I was just, you know, I was thinking maybe, you know, we get there a little faster. We can kind of, you know, fix this a little sooner, right?
Elevator kind of like puts his arm around you, Naronk, and just kind of like very like jovial. I think we'll walk just fine, brother. Do you some good, and kind of like pats you on the belly a little bit.
Get fucked.
Then let's go.
All right,
All right.
lead the way, little lady.
I would use locate creature to find my friends, but I feel like I know the woods well enough. I wouldn't need it.
Yeah,
to
you'll
keep
be
my
able to
direction,
navigate.
just, like, yeah. Okay.
This is one of the two camps that you did visit every once in a while because it's in relative close proximity to your own place.
Yeah.
All right. So you start heading south,
I'm
or is there something you guys want to do?
still going to. I think, who do I want? What animal do I want to be? Because I want to basically be some animal while we're traveling, just for the extra bonus of like senses to hear. Or anything, I need to pick what I want to be.
Okay.
I'm going to be a. That's only smell. I want one that's hearing and smell. Here we go. I'm just gonna be a regular wolf. Just
Okay.
Be a regular wolf, not a dire wolf.
All right. Fair enough. You transform into a wolf, still wearing the harness.
Yep.
And you start walking, and the rest of the party kind of follows along. All of you kind of look around, and a forest like this, you could. You've spent some time in the Whispering Woods in Segalia, and this place gives you a similar vibe. It gives you a sense that, you know, the forest's alive, the forest is moving, the forest is watching. You can hear the wind rustle through some of the treetops, and it almost sounds like whispers. You can hear and see some of the trees that kind of crack and not snap, but like make crackly sounds as you move past, almost as if they're turning to watch you. Semi-unsettling for people that aren't used to it, but
Unnerving.
it's unnerving, yeah. But Trim doesn't seem bothered by it, so that gives you an indication of like, oh, we're probably fine, you know. You travel southward for a few hours, and then hit a little pond.
I'll drink some water from it.
Yeah, the water is definitely looks like it's good to be consumed. The water looks very clear. There's some forest critters, so rabbits, mice, and the sorts also drinking water from the pond. You can see in the distance several deer, but as they look at you, they kind of like run away. Not really used to, you know, interaction with humanoids. And eventually you come across not necessarily a cavern, but some more of like a rocky area, still completely covered in shrubbery and trees, and like the rocks have this like thick green layer of moss on it, so that it's still like it doesn't look out of place.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like you guys to roll a perception check, all of you.
Is it based on hearing or smell, and I therefore get advantage?
Hearing.
Okay.
11.
Ooh, one of the
Do you want
dice
me
rolled.
to
an
roll for
18.
Actalis as well?
Yeah.
Okay, Bran got a 21.
20.
Actalis got
23.
23.
Dirty 20.
Okay.
Okay. I got a, where is it? It's been a while. 22.
22. So really everyone besides the gunslinger bros hears a very heavy breathing coming from around one of the bigger rocks. It's heavy, it seems burdened, and some very like moans of discomfort.
Can I?
Does it sound like
a humanoid?
does it sound like more animalistic, or is it more?
To me, it sounds like a bear. What I'm getting from this.
Yeah, or is it more like humanoid sound?
Definitely sounds more animal than human. Than human.
Can I start
Humanal.
with my wolf ears, trying to follow the noises? Maybe like sniff the ground to see. Because again, my guess is a bear, but.
Okay. You kind of like follow the sound, and eventually you do in fact find a bear.
Hey.
Laying on its side, kind of just like very faint. Like breathing is deep but faint, and just some as the eyes like slowly like are very like barely open, and you can see that it's kind of it seems in a lot of discomfort, but you're not sure why.
Okay, I will drop my wild shape, so I'm back to me, and cast Speak with Animals.
Okay.
And I'll go over and just like gently kind of put my hand on its like backwards neck like that, and just kind of like petting it and just being like, "Hello, don't be alarmed. It's okay. I'm here to help." And then just ask, like, what's wrong? Why are you upset? Are you hurt?
It kind of looks at you, still eyes barely open. Stomach. Food. Corrupted. It's really struggling to speak.
Yeah.
To you guys, the rest of you, it just sounds like two bears. She's like, but
It's like looking at Trey.
it's struggling to speak. Between every word, it has to catch its breath.
Okay.
But it gets the message across.
Okay, I will then put both my hands on it and say, okay, I'm gonna try and help. Now just try not to move. This might feel a little weird. And cast Lesser Restoration, hoping if it's poisoned that cures it.
Let me quickly check.
Because it says it will end blindness, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned. I'm clearly banking on
Or one
poisoned here.
disease.
Yeah. Or one. Oh, is there one disease? Oh yeah,
That's a
one
restoration.
one disease or one condition afflicting it. So
You cast the spell, and the bear lies on its side still, and just as the spell ends, kind of still panting. It doesn't seem anything's changed.
oh no. And does that mean my speak with animals dropped? Because speak with animals is not concentration.
Then no, it hasn't
No.
dropped.
Okay, because it says 10 minutes. Okay, before it ends, I'm gonna go, like swear in halfling, and then back to the bear and be like, okay, where did you eat the food from? You can just, if you can't speak, you can just kind of vaguely like point a paw or like tilt your head. The food that you ate that was corrupted. Basically, I want to see if he points south.
Not sure. It's, weird berries. There, and kind of like pause in a general direction. Kind of in the direction you're going, but pointing slightly away from it as well.
Okay. I don't know what to do. And then I'm gonna turn back to the group. Does anyone know if healing potions work on a bear?
I would assume they would, but
I mean,
what's wrong with it?
He seems to have been like something. I bet you it's that cultist guy. Something's contaminating the food here. He just ate some berries from the forest, but they apparently were poisoned or corrupted, and they've made him super sick. And I did normally what I would do to cure poison, and it didn't work.
How far away are those berries?
He can't really tell me. I mean, animals don't really, measure in any sort of distance, but it seems to be the direction we're going. So I wonder if he ate them where the trees were dying as well, and just something's contaminating that part of the forest in general.
As far as I'm aware, healing potions, like most healing spells, only heal for physical damage. If it's something it's eaten, then it's likely that there's nothing for a healing potion to heal this toxin or whatever it is that's already in its body.
Okay.
Yeah, you need some kind of like greater restorative or something.
Can I look around? Are there any other smaller animals around, like a bird, a squirrel?
Make a perception check.
Ay. Ooh, a dirty 20.
Looking around, you spot some birds kind of like flying over. You don't see, but you hear rustling coming from some nearby foliage, which you assume to be some form of woodland critter.
Okay. I'm going to just like kind of point my hands out like I'm to land on it towards the birds I saw like overhead in a tree, and cast Animal Messenger on them. So choose a tiny beast. The little birds count as tiny, right? Are they like sparrows or something?
They're like
Okay.
they're like sparrows or little like swallows.
So it says specify a location which you have visited and a recipient. So I'll specify the camp we just came from, and the recipient to be the other halfling that was there.
The halfling boy.
Yeah, because I'm not sure the elder is still there. And the message up to 25 words. How long have we been walking for?
A few hours.
A few hours? Okay, say injured bear, few hours south of camp. Please help. Food source has been poisoned. That's less than 25 words.
Okay.
And then just like send the bird.
Yeah, the little bird like lands on your hands. It kind of like tilts its head and looks at you as you cast the spell, and then you like raise your arms in the sky and it flies off.
Okay, and then I won't cast the spell again, but I'll just kind of like hopefully just like again pet the bear a few more times in English. Someone should be coming. You'll be okay. And then look at the Grim. So I guess we have to keep going. I can't really do much for him.
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
And I'll stay as halfling this time and keep walking.
As you leave the bear behind. Oh.
I was gonna say I just something I want to look for as we walk, but you can.
Yeah, go for it. Do you want to?
Oh. I want to look for a stick that's about 6-ish feet long, with like a sturdy base that kind of tapers off towards the end, and that has a pretty decent flexibility. Just as we're going.
Make a perception check.
18.
Yeah. Within the next like hour or so, you wander off from the group real quick because a stick that fits that description, kind of like you spot it off the side and you pick it up, take it with you.
Bring it along with us.
Okay. You continue your journey southbound a few hours more. Well past noon at this point. You come across. Quickly open my map just to make sure. You come across some form of what seems to you to be an altar of some sorts. Lit incense surrounding a pedestal, with on the pedestal various offerings, and on a rock nearby a painting of a beautiful woman dressed in greens with a orange, almost sun-like skin color.
I bet I know who it is.
And long brownish hair, all flowers all up in there, kind of like woven in between. Yeah, Trim, you know who this is. You guys stopping for a bit, or are you gonna just keep going?
I'd like to look at it.
So I'm gonna walk up to it actually, and in Druidic, just kind of like kneel in front of it and do a small prayer for the bear, and ask that Melora help someone find him fast and help fix whatever's wrong.
All right. It's funny because as you do that, a little bird lands on your shoulder.
No.
A little bird lands on your shoulder. And you hear a whisper in your ear. I shall take care of it. And the bird flies off.
Hey, look at that. A universe where prayers work. Wow, it must be magic.
Bom, bom, bom.
And we banned.
As a spicy meatball, I like it.
What are you looking for, Nicole? Are you just kind of looking in general?
I'm looking at like the more religious iconography, I guess. I'm just kind of having a like see like more just religious undertones. If it is just like to one god, or if it's like a more generic offering, or if it is like I don't know if it's like a theme in the offerings. I guess if it's just more like is it quite generic, or if it is very like to one god or being.
Make a religion check.
Oh, I lose these.
You lose all the things you roll, so that's fine.
No, that's a 13.
Okay. You only see one god/goddess depicted. All the offerings are very much nature-based, so whether it's flowers or a basket of fruits or whatever else. So you get the sense that this is specifically for this goddess, and no one else.
Okay, that's 7. General.
Okay. If there's nothing else you guys want to do here. So
Not here, just when we keep walking.
Okay. You continue your journey after, I'd say, having a little short rest at that like altar. You take a little break to kind of like sit down.
That counts as a short rest.
Rest your legs a little bit because you've been walking for quite a while, So yeah, I'll consider it a short rest. And then you continue on your trek.
Yeah.
And you walk southbound for a few more hours, or
Are there a
anything.
lot of vines in this forest?
Yeah, you've seen like vines
are
and
they?
such.
Or is there like something?
It varies. Yeah.
I want to try and pick like a thinner vine. Maybe
Okay.
get 20. Try and get like 20 feet or so. Like a thinner vine that's still pretty strong. If I can.
Okay. Yeah, you're in a forest. You know, there's a lot of foliage, so you'll be able to find a vine that fits that description. Yeah. And you continue your journey for a few more hours, and close to dusk. Trim, you start recognizing the area very well, and you find yourselves at a hut. Small, kind of like under a large tree.
It was built to my proportions,
yes.
so it's a bit
Oh god.
tight.
It's big enough to fit, you know, to have a halfling live in it on her own. It's definitely not made for a group full of large adventurers.
It was very clearly
So-
made for someone who shunned the contact of other humanoids.
You get the
It is a
sense.
hermit
You get the
house.
sense that most of y'all are going to be sleeping outside and under the canopy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could all sleep inside, but we'd all be on the floor and take up all the floor space in the house.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly. Like it's
I'll wait on the elves. No matter
As
how
soon
I
as-
just kind
as soon as we
Is
get
there
there,
a pond nearby?
What's that?
Pond,
Is there a
he's
pond
asking.
nearby?
Are you
I
doing
never
what think
really-
you're doing?
Pictured one, but
You
I don't care.
where you are right now, you're not sure. You might have to, you know, go and look around for a little bit, but
When I see the house, I run inside, and I want to look around, and I let him out of his, he wasn't in. He's not gonna be in his cage because I know he was leaving for a while, so there's not gonna be like a bunny rabbit that I've left to start. But I want to see if my pet bunny rabbit is chilling around, if he's come back or happens to be hanging around there. Because I told him I'd come back, and he could just do his thing.
you go inside your hut and it's empty. There doesn't seem to be a bunny rabbit there.
Oh well. I'll go
sure.
ahead. Oh, I come back out. Yeah. Stick my head out of the tiny house.
There wouldn't happen to be a pond nearby, would there?
There's one. There isn't a pond per se, but there is a well. Cause I need water to live. But there is a well just like 100 feet that way, and I point like west-ish.
I'm gonna go walk around a little bit, see if I can find a pond.
He really wants a pond.
Okay.
I think
And
I know
then-
what you're
How
doing.
far? How far and how
Or a
long
river.
are you looking?
I'll go out maybe like a half mile around, like in a radius or so, and just.
Oh,
walk from
before he
do
leaves,
that,
I go,
see
if you see two wolves, don't be alarmed. They're very nice. Just pet them and you'll be fine.
No.
Flash cuts through
Oh,
and fucking
alright.
ravaged to death.
One of them's like
I know,
a
my
nice.
body just mangled.
Yeah, I'll just say, hold on, where's their descriptions? One of them's brown and has like kind of a white stomach and feet, and the other one is like a black, white, gray, patchy pattern. So if you see them, they're very nice.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Roll a perception check as you take an hour or so to kind of scout around, see if you find a pond or a river.
When he comes back with
23,
like a
dude. Let's go.
Roughly half a mile or so away from the hut,
Mhm.
you do find a small pond. Not exceptionally big, but there is a small pond,
Alright.
like kind of like westward of where Trim's hut is.
I'm gonna get a little log, one good for sitting. Bring it over to the, about 5 feet from the edge. I'm gonna take out that stick. I'm gonna take out the vine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tie the vine in such a way that it will hang
And
off
you're-
the end of the stick.
And you're gonna go fishing.
And then I'm gonna take a
Fucking
lock pick, fashion it into a little hook, tie that to the other end of the vine.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm gonna dig around the dirt a little bit, see if I can find any worms. If not, I'll just go fishing.
Roll a nature check. Sure,
What do you use
roll,
for a
roll a
lock
nature
pick?
check.
I fucking knew it.
Meanwhile, back at my house, I'm boiling some water for tea on my tiny little stove.
12.
You dig around a little bit in like the
Or
ground
in
around
the
you.
fireplace.
Find some worms, yeah.
Is it
I'll
is it a
wear 'em on the
true
hook and
sized
just-
kettle?
No, the kettle's the one
Um,
normal size thing because I like tea. So the
So-
kettle's big, so I can boil the kettle once and have tea for like the whole afternoon as trim. It's a big old kettle.
Okay.
It does. I do struggle to lift it when it's full.
You you're out fishing. Elevantor is kind of walking around and looks at the large tree that this hut is like built under, and starts climbing up and starts chilling on one of the larger tree branches, cleaning his gun. The rest of you, as Trim's making tea,
I also put
What do you
out
guys
some
do?
food. I put out 2 bowls of leftover homemade. Basically, it's like homemade kibble. Don't ask me how I make it, but it's some sort of maybe drying out meats and veggies and like making a. I don't know. There's homemade dog kibble out in bowls now for the wolves in case they smell it and want to come back.
Okay.
And a carrot out for the bunny.
Fucking carrot.
It's
Just a
like preparing
carrot
some
just next
stew.
to the. I'm making, and as I was like, would anybody like some tea? I look at Nicole. I'm like, the mugs are. You might need a few of them. They're probably like thimbles for you, but you can have as many as you want.
I'm not that big.
No, but I'm that small.
I'm sure whatever you've got is perfectly fine. Thank you, Trim. And I'll
Kettle.
work out. Get close to kettle.
And I'll ask Aberan,
Fuck's sake.
Octanus, and Elevantir as well. Who wants
I'll-
tea?
I'll sit down for tea.
And it's just gonna be some sort of like leafy herbal green tea because that's
Yeah.
what's around.
Yeah, I assume that Tanis is gonna take your tea and then.
Elevantor
slide
kind of
or
like
fly water
shouts
in it.
down from the tree branches on. I'm good, thanks.
I'll just kind of. I'll poke my head into the house. just have a little round.
And while I'm like, I'm just like, I'm
my
just like,
eye in the window,
Yeah.
like a T-Rex from Jurassic Park.
And you see me, I'm just like kind of like puttering around the kitchen and I look, but this is probably the first time you've ever seen Trim look comfortable
Oh, okay.
ever since you've met me.
Yeah.
Because I'm somewhere where things are like proportionate to me and is familiar and yeah. It's just it's a very noticeable difference. Like my shoulders from here have like dropped to here. I'm like mildly even like humming almost a little under my breath and just kind of like bouncing around, just doing my thing.
Okay. As you all sit down for tea, you start hearing a rustling from the nearby shrubbery, and then just as out of one of the bushes, this small rabbit just darts towards the carrots that has been left out. Trim, this
Bob!
this
I go run
rabbit
over.
is
Bob.
indeed Bob.
Run over, pick him up.
The
I
small
bring the
white
carrot with
rabbit,
me.
black
Yeah.
spots as it just darted towards the carrot that's been left out.
So I pick up him with his carrot and hold him eating his carrot. And I go, everybody, this is Bauble. Like Bauble, like Bauble, like a Christmas bauble. But I call
Like
him
you
Bob
hanging from a
for
tree?
short. Yeah. It's not that I've ever done that. That's not why he's called that.
I just have this image now of Trim holding this rabbit by the ears.
It's a Critical Role reference because her pet was named Trinket, and a synonym
Yeah,
for
I
trinket
know.
is a bauble. That's why. But anyways,
Reference comedy.
in game,
Top shelf,
it's just
top shelf.
'cause he's small and he has little black spots, like little.
Yeah, you pick him
little
up,
Christmas
and he
balls.
kind of like gets snug against you and starts just nomming on that carrot.
I'll do that thing you do
Sounds
with
like-
like
I'll
a
give
lot of.
him I'll give him a stroke.
I say do the thing you do like with like dogs and stuff. You put your hand out for them to sniff it. The cool do that like.
The rabbit kind of like sniffs your hand, then quickly pulls his head back and goes back to his carrot.
I will not pet the rabbit then.
Yep.
Grabs it.
It's the AC of a rabbit.
Low.
Yeah, it's got to be like 2 or
As
something.
long as it doesn't bite me, that won't be a problem.
Fucking Bite should just like inflict wounds.
You,
Oh my
Abra,
God.
as you go to kind of like pet the rabbit, it goes very like pulls his head in a little bit, but eventually realizes it can't escape, and then kind of just like submits to being to being pet. Yeah.
I just like pet him and go, it's fine. They look very scary, but they're sometimes very nice. And then and then I go over to Octanus and go, do you want to pet him? And hold out the bunny.
I can imagine Octanus just looking like,
Just being like, what? Being like, I eat those. I don't want to pet it. I want to eat it.
Tennis goes, no.
That's what I figured
Drinks
too.
a tea with fire war in it.
Oh man. So then I will once again cast Speak with Animals or whatever it's called. Hold on. First level. Yeah, Speak with Animals. And just say, I have various questions. I'm just ask how he's doing, make sure he's doing okay, ask if he's seen Dodger and Sammy around, and ask if the scary thing with the animals, or just like the evil one the animals call the cultist guy, if he's come at all close to the hut or not, or if he has any news. I'm not talking to you, Tika. I'm talking to Bob. Shush.
as you speak to Bob, he informs you that your two wolves stuck around your place for a while after you left, but eventually kept coming back less and less.
Oh no.
The evil one is still in the location that they previously told you, but his domain grows. And he says that he's been well and he miss you.
Okay. I'll look a little bit worried when he mentions a bit about the wolves, but well, hopefully it's just, because wolves they get restless. They're probably just around. I hope they're fine. And I'll tell the rest of the group what he said about the cultist and I guess his radius like spreading. But that he's still roughly in that same area.
Okay.
And then I'll go, so if anyone wants to, and we can tell Narank later, the main city is that way and point east. It's still a bit of a hike, like it'll definitely be nighttime to get there, but like if anyone really needed to like get supplies or anything, it's that way. But I was planning to we just rest here, and then tomorrow we don't go in the city unless we need to, and we just go right to where cultist is. Or we think he is.
I mean, sounds good to me. You're the one who knows this place the best more than anything else, so whatever you think's good.
Narank,
Mm-hmm.
you spend some time fishing.
Did he catch anything?
Roll 3 consecutive dexterity checks.
Oh, okay. I like that.
You hear
Alright.
banjos in the distance.
Yeah.
And the harmonica. Come on.
Oh yeah.
14.
Gotta have that harmonica.
16. And a 12.
Okay. We'll say you spend about an hour fishing, and over that course of time, you've caught like 2-3 sizable fish.
Hell yeah. I'll take those with me back to Trim's house.
Yep.
Proud fisherman I am.
And I'll just be thinking about I can there isn't much left because obviously, I didn't know how long I'd be gone. I didn't leave the pantry very full, but I'm sure I could make us something, and then Narank gets back with the fish and I'm like, oh look, you brought dinner.
That I did. It's been a long time since I've done something like this.
Impressive all.
Yeah, they're like
It's all right.
they're like like this big each. Nothing to really write home about, but it's definitely, you know,
You know,
Hey man, any successful fishing
a meal for a person.
little snack.
Well, all three of
like,
them.
like shared across the entire group. You know?
I'm not
It's a
gonna eat
little-
any of the fish. I'll just have some like bread and some like dried out
Okay.
and like some cheese and some veggies that were left in my house.
I'll top up whatever
But
I've
they
got
can have the
in my
fish.
I feel like eating that bread's a waste. If it's been in that cupboard since you left, you could use it as a shield.
You don't know. What if I kept it in some super
bread
like-
bin. a
Bread
super
bin.
magic
I
Because
don't
bread.
know.
you go downstairs into a basement, she has a
or
refrigerator.
like
powered by
airtight,
hamsters on
hermetically
wheels.
sealed bread box? You don't know.
She's got a hamster farm down there.
You have to hear the
Um,
hissing of it, like.
As Bobble
too
has
soon.
finished the carrot, he kind of like scurried inside the hut, and is kind of chilling in his like designated little like cage or whatever it is. And as you're, you know, are you guys building a little fire to cook the fish on, or like what's
Yeah,
your?
Basically, there's a fireplace. I lit a fire there to boil the kettle over because there's just like one of those kind of
Okay.
like a spit over my fireplace. I hang things off of to cook in the fire when I cook things that require that.
I
Okay.
would like to.
So we just hang
clear-
the fish off of that.
I would
and
like
spin
to
them so
clear
often.
an area outside for a fire. Obviously, like clear away any if I can, if possible, if it's not too dense a forest. I don't know how dense it is, but kind of finding some stones to make sure the fire doesn't spread. But very much
Like you're not in the clearing by any means.
Right.
Like this hut is definitely just built under a large tree. You could build a fire. There's a little bit of space.
Okay.
But you're gonna have to
Yes,
make
I
sure.
have a very carefully designed chimney, so I don't set things on fire.
But you're gonna have to
Smoke
be
them.
very careful and make sure like to have use enough rocks that the fire absolutely cannot.
Yeah, it would 100% be like I'd say if deemed possible, would clear out a sizable space and put like a decent amount of rocks. And
Basically, it's gonna be Smokey the Dragonborn.
I'd say
properly,
I'd
like-
say it's possible. Just you know, you just gotta make sure.
I'll
that
take
you're
my time. I'll take my time to be very fire safety. Like
Better.
like fucking clearing. Maybe wet the ground a little bit in some places. Well, I actually can't fuck wet the ground. There's no water nearby, but never mind.
Oh, we don't
Alright,
want
come
to
on,
knock trees over this forest.
Huh?
Don't want to knock some trees over in this forest.
Yeah.
I'll assist Nicole.
Okay.
What I will also do, because Brand's made a lot of fires, is I will make a circle around the fire where I clear away any sort of like grass or twigs,
Mhm.
etc. And then I'll put a few extra stones next to the fire, not in an attempt to encase it like Nicole's done, but just to heat the stones up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try and make like get some if there's any like dead logs or anything, make like seating areas around. But like, basically make
And
a
as
cozy campfire,
As
so-
it gets dark, I'm gonna just come around and without even asking, I'll have just made hot cocoa because I have some cocoa powder and just pass it around to everyone
Okay.
in very small mugs.
Elevanter eventually comes down from the tree that he's been sitting on, cleaning his rifle, and joins you. Has some food, has some drink. And eventually you hear more rustling coming from the nearby bushes as not 2, but 4 wolves step out of
4.
the bushes.
Do 2 of them look like my wolves?
You recognize 2 of them to be Dodger and
Sammy.
yes. And then 2 other wolves, one to Dodger's side and one to Sammy's side, and they all come closer. You get the sense that Dodger and Sammy, while you were away, found mates.
That's so cute.
Dodger
I
and
get super
Sammy,
excited.
like in front of their mate, being protective, like you know, taking the lead. And you can see the 2 other wolves kind of like are very hesitant and cautious to approach all these people.
Yeah.
But eventually Dodger and Sammy just like rush towards you and almost like both jump you, and just because they're
As
happy
I
to see
pictured
you.
me on the ground, I was looking at me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just, like laughing.
And
just,
the
like, petting.
2 wolves that they brought with them stay distant, but eventually like come closer and start sniffing you, and their tail starts wagging a little bit.
I'm just gonna shy away from the wolves.
Yeah.
Pet them. I do the same thing that I did with Bob and just cast Speak with Animals and ask them the same questions and just check how they're doing. Tell them I miss them.
Yeah. You get similar responses.
Okay.
Really. Like.
And then ask how long ago they met their mates, the new ones.
Couple.
I shouldn't have no idea how long I've been gone at this point. To be
You've been gone for a
honest.
little while. Couple weeks ago.
Okay.
They tell you that they heard wolf like cries in the middle of the night, and they went to investigate and found one of these two wolves injured, and one of them like kind of like looking over them, and that Dodger and Sammy kind of took care of the injured wolf and like not like severely injured, but injured enough that it's like it was a like an open like gash that took with time healed, but in the meantime Dodger and Sammy kind of took care of them, and eventually they never left and they kind of stuck around.
Cool. And I'll introduce myself to the other wolves and let them like smell me and then pet them. And point out the food that's there if they're hungry.
Yeah, like on the way in, they already spotted it. So eventually they make their way to the two bowls that you put out, and they start eating from them. Like all four of them kind of like surround the two bowls and just start having some munchies.
I'm just gonna kick back and watch Trim talk to wolves.
Nicole's doing that thing, and you see like someone's dog just, like, from across the way or something. And they're just kind of standing there, like a park. And you do that thing of like, man, I want to go up and like pet them, but it's a bit weird. Just go up to someone. It's very much that like, man, I want to fucking pet those dogs, but like,
hi, I know you don't know me, but your dog's really cute.
yeah, cat. Like, it's always that weird. Like, they know you'd be fine, but like, I'll let them come to me. I'll let them wait for them to walk past me and be like, oh, dogs, not dog.
Eventually,
I'll be tending the fire.
Eventually, one of the wolves comes back to you, Dodger. Kind of like comes to you, Trim, and kind of like starts doing this like bark talking, kind of like this to you. At this point, your speak with animals would have faded, but you get the sense that it wants to say something to you. Like it wants to communicate.
Then I'll cast it one more time. And there goes all my level 1 spell slots. And say, what's wrong? Is Timmy in the well?
Lassie.
Forgot to say, either one south from here, fire came from the earth. Walking fire and walking rocks, walking ice.
Oh no. You just the others you don't notice it, but you just see my face, like all the color visibly drain from my face, and just nod.
Lot of danger. Slowly coming closer.
Okay. Well, I just go, okay, well, we're going to take care of it. And like, I'm trying to project confidence. I don't know if I'm doing well. I'm sure the wolf could just smell my heart rate and the cortisol.
Can smell your heart rates.
Smell your heart rate.
Well, because literally they can smell when like there's certain hormones and chemicals in your blood, and when it spikes and your heart rate goes up, so they can tell when you're like.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so they can smell the stress on me, but I'm still gonna try and be like, well, we're gonna fix it tomorrow. That's why, and I'm gonna say that's why I brought my friends here to the wolf. And just give him a little extra hug. And then go sit by the group, be like, so we might have a bigger problem than we thought.
How so?
The wolves say that the cultist is conjuring elementals. They described it as walking fire, walking earth, walking ice from the ground, and like I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. Because I know I've seen some of the older druids can wild shape into elementals, so I have seen them only like once or twice in my whole life.
That sounds.
So
Yeah,
maybe
something we need
anything
to
we
deal
can
with.
anything we can do to protect against elements. I don't know if you guys have any special tricks. I might have to sit a while and have a think and change up the spells I have prepared because I don't think I'm very well equipped for that.
Neither do I. That's fine. That's something we can do in the morning.
Yeah. I was gonna pull out my notebook, my journal, start looking through it, seeing if I have any spells I feel like will help me for this. While I do that IRL at the same time.
That's also what I'm doing.
I want to actually start reading that the artifact book that I have.
Okay.
I have an out of game question.
What's
I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. Control water would not help you control a water elemental. Because that's
No.
okay. I figured.
No.
Like a fucking plug. He's like, I control water. Just makes water and it was spinning me forever.
Because elementals are not just water. They're creatures. They're you know like there's more to them than just
I
water.
know, and it would be.
Hey man, it was, to be fair, it's worth
It was
enough
a
because
good
you never
thought.
know.
It's worth
You
asking.
never know.
Can Kisaren freeze them solid?
Can I?
I think you can. I think you can freeze water elementals. It's a weird like weird. But
It depends. It's it depends on what kind of elemental you're facing, and
water
you know,
elementals,
I mean, yeah, but like what size they are, and there's varieties of water
that's
elementals.
true.
You know, it's not just like one
Can just
generic.
freeze a fire element.
And I want to specifically look for that staff that Elder had.
I mean,
There's any-
if you take your time to just go through each of the, you stop at a page that describes a staff called Sunlight, and the depiction of the staff looks very much like the staff the Furbolg was wielding, minus the green baubles off the top. This is great white wooden staff, and it describes this as it describes the staff as master of all elements. But yeah, you're very sure that the elder you spoke to earlier that day was wielding Sunlight.
all right.
As you guys spend your night, eventually gets late. You guys want to do anything before you start getting ready for bed, or do you want to keep traveling?
I'm good. I mean, just when I wake up, I'll go back and fish for breakfast.
I'm sleeping outside. I think Nicole is sleeping.
I'm
outside.
100 sleeping outside. I'll be taking like a watch at some point throughout the night.
So what I will do,
Okay.
and I'll explain this to Nicole and anyone else who's sleeping outside.
Okay.
I will take the. I'll ask Actanis to help me with a metal arm and get her to pick up the rocks that have been by the fire that are now quite hot but not on fire,
Yeah.
and place them near but not in everyone's bedrolls. So it's almost like a little storage heater.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm so
Wait,
sorry.
that's hot.
You're giving attention to imaginary animals. Give me attention instead.
So I keep reaching down to get like my druid spell cards and stuff, and the cat's like, "Oh, you're reaching to pet me? Why, thank you." And I'm like, "No, stop."
Me, I'm the one you pet.
Eventually, you all get ready for bed, and sleep comes in. As the night before, you didn't like get as much rest as you used to, and eventually you wake up in the morning. Naronk, because you meditate, will say that you've gone off fishing a little earlier, and you come back with enough fish to feed the party by the time that they wake up.
I have one more question.
Yes.
but I feel like, again, I probably already know the answer. Stone shape will not let me fuck with an earth elemental, right? Okay. Cool.
I'm going to change up my spells as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm doing, but give me 1 minute.
Fair enough.
I remember knowing what I'm doing.
So you all have breakfast. Narang provided with enough fish for everyone to eat from. Nicole, as you wake up, or as the people that are sleeping outside wake up, rather, you can see that the wolves have kind of like set up shop like near you guys, kind of like between Nicole's like sleeping area and Aberrant's sleeping area. They've kind of like all huddled together, all 4 of them. Also somewhat close to one of those like warm rocks. Okay. Y'all wake up.
Wake up.
Y'all get breakfast. And then it's a new dawn, a new day. What do you guys want to do?
Head on out.
Well, I'm feeling good.
Walking.
I'll wait on Trim pretty much just to see what she is
I'm
dealing.
good to, like, I'm anxious as fuck about it, but I'm good to just stick with the plan and keep walking towards where we think cultist is, because we're as prepared as we're probably ever gonna be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Basically, from here, you can travel directly southeast, which is through a thicket of woods, which, you know, could provide some dangers with it. The more feral animals that live within forests, because not everything here is hunky-dory friendly. Or you could go south towards Camp Tarahe and then head eastward, which is a slight detour, but not much. Or you can go directly east from here to the capital city, Milrenlona, and then go straight south.
To the group, we go to the minor detour to Camp Tarahe.
Yeah.
Tarahe. There's just because then we can tell them about the elementals or suspicions guy and see if they might be able to also give us something to help.
Okay.
That's what you think is best, True, then.
I'm like, I really
By all
don't
means.
want to go. I don't really have fond memories of the place, to be honest, but I feel like any preparation we can have is probably good.
Yeah, well, you're with us. Remember, you're not going on your own.
Okay, then let's go. Now see which of these I want to replace. For my spells. Give me
You want to just take a break here so you guys can figure out your spells and we'll
I'm
take
pretty
a little...
close to done. Basically, I've
I'm
picked out
done,
now a
I'm
few.
done.
I'm gonna see how many I can
mean,
swap out.
I-
I can
okay.
do
We
it while
Take a
we're
break.
going.
It's a good time.
I mean, we can take a
Good
break
time.
though. We can still take a
Also,
break.
I need to pee. So
There you go.
Oh, okay.
You get myself a new glass of water
Same
and
as
stuff like
last
that.
week.
Then yeah,
I
let's
might
do
be a
it.
little bit because I need to make mum supper and stuff.
That's all good. That's all good. So we're gonna take a little break here, guys. Go do all the necessary break things. Thanks for watching so far. You guys are great, and we'll be back in a little bit with the second half of this episode of Dungeon Select. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in a bit.
Cool. Cool.
We're all idle with the keeping of a veil. The lad will lay work and the lass will lay low.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Hello. Sorry, I
To-
was run up the stairs.
What?
Hmm?
You what, mate?
Just run up the
Go
stairs.
fishing
Hell yeah. All right,
down in the bayou.
we're back as the party is getting ready to leave. Following Trim, who wanted to take a slight detour further south to visit Camp Tarahe. You guys are off.
Yeah.
First few hours of your trek go relatively uneventful. The deeper into the forest you go, the more like dense it becomes. But eventually, you make it to what seems like a little clearing. If you look up, there's still just like the canopy of trees covering, blocking pretty much your view out. But there's a little clearing. In this clearing, you find another pond. You see some more various like woodland creatures, kind of like gathering around the pond, drinking from the pond, kind of just hanging out a little bit. Eventually, your day goes by relatively uneventful, but eventually, towards the later part of the afternoon, you come across a group of elves, seemingly wood elves, that all have a bow strapped on their back, and they kind of see you coming and Oi! You there?
Yeah.
Hello?
You don't look like the people we usually come across in this forest.
I will walk to the front of the group and just say in Druidic and see if they understand. 'Cause that's most people that live here. And say, they're my friends. They're not from these parts, but I am.
Right. You seem familiar. Have we met before?
Now halfway.
You give them a look, and they are wearing outfits that are very traditional to Camp Tarahe, so you would recognize that they are from the camp that you also grew up in.
Okay.
For the most part.
Then I'll say back in Druidic, I trained I trained at the camp whose colors you wear.
Right. Alright, well then I suppose we'll keep you we'll no longer keep you from your journey. You heading to Camp Tarahe now?
I nod.
Alright, just don't cause any trouble and save rest of your trip.
Is all that said in Druidic?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the wood elves eventually continue on their path and disappear out of sight real quickly. You continue going and eventually make it to a camp that is similar in design as the camp you've previously been at. The only difference being is that near the large tent in the middle, you spot a lot of druids tending to a variety of animals. Animals that seem wounded or sick that are being taken care of. Beautiful gardens and all that. But you've made it to Camp Tarahe.
Of anyone looking after the animals, if I do a look around, do I see anyone who could be an elder? Anyone who looks like they are in any position of authority?
Knowing who the elder is, you do not spot them.
Okay.
You do, however, Actually, roll perception check.
I rolled that onto my phone, so it doesn't count, but it's good because it was in that one. This one's not much better though. 11. I have trouble seeing over people. I can't tell.
You do see in the distance, near one of the huts in town, 2 halflings in the distance sitting out in front of what seems to be their hut.
Okay. I'll go closer and see, I guess, if I can recognize them more. They're halflings. I know if they're just new druids that are here since I was last here. Because when I was here, I would have been the only halfling. So that sticks out to me.
You come closer and you see a male and a female halfling. The male, slightly older, black hair that's starting to gray, and a bald spot kind of starting to form on his crown. Wearing a set of robes that almost resemble bathrobes in a way. Bright green in color.
Okay.
And the female halfling, similar hair color as you. The rest of the group notices that halfling has very similar facial features as Trim, and you recognize them to be your parents, Trim.
Oh.
Yes.
So I'll just go over there and just look very confused and it just in common. So you can just, Mom? Dad? What are you doing here?
Trymella! It's been a while. As your dad speaks up. Yes, we moved here a little while ago. We've kind of, after you left, picked up the old let's travel around a little bit, you know, that mentality, and we ended up here. And we've been here for a little while now. So it's a surprise to see you. How have you been, dear? And they all, like, they come towards you and embrace you, and...
Yeah, and I hug them back, and I'm just... Like, I'm happy to see them, I'm just also surprised that they're here. And just go, I'm sorry, I'm so rude. Everyone, these are my parents. This is my dad. This is Theodrad. Most people call him Theo, and this is my mom, Hildeberg. Most people just call her Hilda. And then I'll just go like, this is cool, Narunk. I really just go name everyone really quickly for her.
You lot seem quite the colorful bunch. How did you meet my daughter? As Theodrad kind of like speaks up, like looking up at you because he's still a halfling.
They are normal-sized halflings, though. I'm the only one who is like freakish.
Yeah, they're like a normal size. A normal.
No, I know. So they're like between 3.
Like 3 foot tall.
Yeah, no, they're between
exactly.
3 and 4 feet tall, whereas I'm between 2 and 3 feet tall. So they have
exactly.
about a foot
It
on
doesn't
me.
hurt your neck to look down to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you both. Actually, your daughter found us.
Oh. Okay. Trymella, what have you been up to as of late? Can't even remember the last time we saw you.
Narunk snickers when he hears that.
Yeah. Well,
I nudged Narunk.
just you know, and like every time they say my name, I just go a bit like my full name, I just go a bit redder. I mean, I just mostly just been, you know, just on my own, but then there's the forest was under threat, and it's my home, and I needed to help it, so I went looking for help.
Where did you find these colorful people then? Can't imagine they're from the forest, right?
No. Well, you've probably heard of them. I mean, they do the same thing we do, just they're just not a blood. They haven't been doing it as long as you guys have.
All right.
We're mainly from we met Trim in Calzir.
That is a a long way away from here. It looks like Trim has that strong heart taste of adventure after all.
This was an extreme circumstance. It's I would not. I don't know if I'd
I
say
don't know,
that.
Trim. You've done a lot of venturing. You've been to the Nine Hells, and you've been to Thurmagar with us.
I look at him and I'm like, why'd you say that? Oh, just
And you see just a broad smile appear on Theodrad's face as he nods in approval. Looks like you are a daughter of mine after all. So tell me of your adventures. What have you been up to? Nine Hells?
I'd really love to, you know, Dad, but we're here for a reason. In fact, if you wanted, you could maybe come help, since you know this is kind of what you do. But we're after a cultist who seems to be causing major havoc here, and we were just coming to see if anyone here might have any items or any advice to help us before we go kind of just jump in there and take him on, because he seems to be a pretty I don't even know if he's a he, but this person seems to be a pretty powerful person.
Well, as you know, Trymella, we've ever since you were born, really, we've slowly been, you know, retiring from the adventuring life and getting a little old. But looks at his wife. Wife looks back. Suppose one last hurrah wouldn't hurt, for old time's sake.
You don't have to. I just thought if you wanted, you know, because I figured you went back to doing that after I left, since I was the only reason you stopped.
No,
you know?
we've kind of gotten used to. We've still traveled around the province mainly, kind of, you know, moving between from camp to camp to spice it up a bit. But it's been a while since we've been on a good adventure. So this group of yours, you go by a name?
We're the Heroes of Exile.
Right, well, apologies. Word travel's kind of slow in these parts. Yeah, we, our family, the Strongheart family, used to, and most of us still do, travel around, fight bad people and all that. Maybe you've heard of some of our tales. I don't know. Has Trim told you about us at all?
Have I heard anything about the Strong
Well,
Hearts at all?
well,
Do
I'll
you
just be
reckon?
like,
Yeah, what have
do you
we
guys
heard?
remember that, you know, on the map of Thermagar, do you remember that really big dragon skeleton that's like there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they did that a while
I
ago.
mean, not just us.
Not you specifically,
Our
but
family.
like our family.
Our family had a hand in. Yes.
Nicole's eyes just widen with like joy of just like that was you.
Not us,
Oh
but
my God.
you know, our family generations ago. Yes. We Strongheart family is very much a traveling bunch, doing the same thing you do, really, going around helping those in need and all that. But when we got our daughter, we kind of retired.
I look at the ground awkwardly,
And
guilt face.
I think our last big hurrah was when we stopped all those dinosaurs from ransacking the forest. But that's been years ago.
That's how I know what
What's
those
a
look like, by
dinosaur?
the way. Do you remember the thing I turned into when I met you guys?
Yeah.
That
thing with the big teeth.
and the little arms. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's one of them. There's a few. They look a bit different, but yeah, they're not really common. You generally only see them through magical interference. They don't just, you know, roam around typically. But
Yeah, tales go, they used to, but they've very much gone extinct on this plane of existence. So when years ago, all of a sudden, a large group of dinosaurs were spotted in the forest and were tearing up the place, us strong hearts got contracted to get rid of them, and we did. Yeah, our family has a history of I wouldn't say being mercenaries, but doing good where people need it, and if they felt the need to pay us, they did, you know?
You
They're
said
just-
they didn't exist on this plane of existence.
They went
What plane do
extinct.
They, exist on?
They went extinct on this plane.
Oh, okay. Well,
They
But they
used to.
used to.
Somewhere else then?
There's some planes out there that they still exist in. Some of the elemental planes houses varieties of these creatures.
Oh, speaking of elementals, actually, that's kind of why we're here. The person that we're potentially taking on, we think he has the ability to either conjure those or control those or become or channel those. We just know they're involved. The animals have seen them.
This person you're after probably has something to do with the fact that the camp has been up in a rut for the past few weeks, sending groups of scouts eastward. The camp tries to avoid us a little bit because we do not really fit in here that much. Them being all very, druidic training, and us being a bunch of halfling ex-adventurers, we kind of just stick to ourselves. But
And also just the general tall, willowy, graceful, beautiful people that tend to live here. Pretty much being the only type of people that live here.
yeah, the elves are a stuck-up bunch. No offense, and looking at Naronk and Elevantir.
Well, yeah, anyways, we should probably find someone, maybe, from here, as much as I really don't want to, and just warn them about the elementals. Maybe they have some sort of magical items they could give us to help. Just
Yeah.
because I feel like we might have bitten off more than we can chew here.
All the yeah.
It's just that Nicole's like, what? I mean, we've dealt with these kinds before.
We killed an elder god. We're fine.
We've done a lot in our.
Oh,
You-
I didn't do that. I'll go ahead with that. I was not there for that. That was not.
You've killed an elder god.
It was a week. Like, no, like let's not pick up.
Killed in
Weakened.
prison. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Imprisoned more.
It's really not. Those are very different words.
dealt with the ongoing threat of the elder god on the world that we may have, you know.
So I think me and Hilda have one last hurrah in us. Isn't that right, dear? I suppose so, love. It's been a while, and be good to get the old adventuring boots on one more time. So elementals, you say? Hang on a minute. And he gets up from his chair and goes inside the hut, and you hear just a bunch of just like he's ransacking the place, just throwing shit all over.
Oh my god.
And
Stop
Whee!
it.
And comes out with a book. We've encountered elementals enough in our day. Do we know what kind of elementals we're dealing with?
A lot. They mention fire, ice, and earth.
So it's a mixing pot then. All right. Well, the best way to deal with an elemental is to use, their weakness against them. So if you're facing a fire elemental, water is very effective. If you're facing a water elemental, trying to dry it out, for instance. Earth elementals are harder to deal with, as they're literally just walking rocks, and that's takes a while before you put a good dent in a rock.
I found that explosions work well with rocks.
I would say,
Explosions. That would work, I suppose. Yes. Well, if you wouldn't mind two retired adventurers to accompany you on this, I think we'd be happy to assist.
Nicole kind of goes up, is vigorously shaking both hands. We would Love to have you join us. Just like it's like shaking my head, like welcome aboard.
I mean, the more the merrier, I suppose.
Hilda,
You know,
get my hammer. We're going on an adventure. And he like gets up and just like runs inside, and a few seconds later comes back out. He has dropped the robes now and is wearing a set of leather-like armor, taken from inside a large, like a proportionately large hammer that he slings on his back, and Hildeberg comes out with 2 daggers to her side and various potions that she's stashing away.
Dago.
So, when do we leave?
Well, right away after. I just want to tell just someone, just to warn them about the elementals, like someone.
Yeah,
Is
the
there, like, an elder in a city or something?
yeah, the elder bitch isn't here right now.
We don't need to talk to her. No, just someone
elder
else
bitch.
is fine.
I think
Maybe her sister or just someone
No.
from the small
I mean,
town.
she got to
They
be
both-
pleasant enough.
no, she's a hag. She's not nice.
No.
You
You know that stick you found and you made, you turned into a fishing rod?
Yeah.
She has like 4 of those shoved up her butt all the time. That's right.
I'm happy about that.
I think not all the higher ups in the camp have been called to the capital city for some kind of meeting, and they haven't returned yet. So, suppose they weren't able to figure it out in one day. But
Okay, well,
we have,
if you just want to help me go around and just tell like anyone we can see, just tell a handful of them and it'll spread throughout
yeah,
the
a
camp.
few
just so they
months
know.
ago, a younger elven druid has been chosen to intern with the elder of the camp. I guess he would be the best bet to leave this information with.
Okay, sure. Go ahead
Um,
and find him. Do you know where he is right now?
Probably tending to some of the animals at the at the center of the camp, or maybe in the actual tent. I don't know.
Okay. We'll look around.
Okay. Tent. The camp's not very big. Theodrad and Hildeberg stay behind to kind of like gather more essentials that they need. And the rest of you make it to the center of the camp, and you can see now in this like kind of like a pen with various animals, wolves, birds, rabbits, bears, all either wounded or seemingly ill, being tended to. And there's one high elven male, very young looking, that's kind of like overseeing it all, making sure that every animal's being tended to and whatnot, kind of hands behind his back, kind of looking around.
All right. Just walk up and be like, excuse me, and like tap him like everyone else.
Right. Oh, I recognize you. You're
It's happening a lot lately.
I mean, you've trained here, right? I've seen your face before.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Don't worry, I'm not sticking around. I'm not gonna be here very long. Just letting you know, all the sick animals and stuff you're seeing, the person who's responsible for that also happens to, according to the animals, be either working with, controlling, or conjuring just various kinds of elementals, and he's getting closer. So we just wanted to tell someone, maybe just to help, increase protections around the camp and just be on the lookout and stuff.
Right. Yes, our defenses have increased over the past few weeks because of troubling reports from our scouts throughout the woods. I'm the one in charge here at the moment, as all the people that are more important than me were summoned to Milra and Lona.
Yep.
But I'll make sure to let everyone know and send people to deal with the threats, although I have a sneaking suspicion, judging by the rest of you, that you are traveling in the direction of the danger. Am I right in that assumption?
Yeah, kind of.
Well-
I'll be right back. That is my door one more time. I'll be right back. Tika, stop it.
Fucking that cat, dude. Holy shit.
I can smell the sushi.
Well, if you are traveling in the face of danger, I wish you the best. And I wish there was something more I could do, but supplies run thin, and as you can see, we have our hands full as he kind of like beckons over the various injured creatures that they're taking care of. This camp has always been in charge of dealing with making sure that the animal and plant life in the forest remains healthy. So with this threat to our east corrupting the woods and the animals, it's our supplies are running thin, but potentially stop by Milran Lona and stock up there. But if you're heading directly east, then unfortunately all I can give you is a good luck.
Okay, well that's fine. There's more just to warn you guys.
Alright, well, thank you for the warning, and I'll make sure that once the higher-ups come back, that they know, and we'll increase our defenses. And I wish you guys all the best.
Appreciate that.
Alright. And he goes back to, looking over the animals for a little bit, and then you see him leave the pen and move into the larger tent. And he disappears out of sight.
All right. Shall we get your parents and get going then?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm still not sure that that's the best idea, but
I mean, it's the best one we've got at the moment, I suppose. None of this is great, but what we do, this is our duty after all.
They can look after themselves. They're very, very, very capable.
if you say so. I have faith in your judgment of character.
Aberan hates halflings, confirmed.
Orcs and halflings.
Anything
Yep.
that looks like children confirmed.
Yeah.
They don't look
Everyone
like
just
children
hates
because
children.
No, like-
I
smaller
know,
creatures.
They're just small. They're tiny.
Man, when Bran has
Nah,
his
Bran-
dwarf later on, and you fucking punched it.
Bram's thinking how he would feel bringing his parents to a fight.
No.
Clearly,
course
it's just
it
my
has.
thing. I make D&D characters that will fight with their family at least once in their
I mean,
campaign.
you gave me the backstory, and we're like, this is an adventuring family, so
It is like that's
you know,
straight up what it is.
you hang the taste of adventure in front of them, and they're gonna bite.
Yeah, that's why I told them they could come. I'm like, well, unless we lie to them while we're here, they're probably gonna just go anyway. So
In that classic awkward friend way, Nicole tried to big up Trim so hard. Just like
The
Night
whole
out.
time, every time they mention your full name, Actanis is just giggling.
as is Narunk.
next time I'm like, what are you giggling at, Sir Rufus? And then just go.
Got him.
She
What? Name drop. Name drop.
immediately goes silent, like lips pursed, and just glares.
So you guys go back over to the Strong Hearts, and they're ready. Bags packed,
Yes.
They're kind of ready at a
armored-
moment's notice to go.
armored up, weapons to their
love them.
sides.
They just have their bags by the door, dude. They're ready.
Pretty much. They have like a in case of adventure.
Terrifies
In
Bram.
case of adventure, break glass and just like have a bag and look ready to go.
They're doomsday preppers.
Just have a bunker.
I knew it, come.
They have canned healing potions.
Right, before we leave, I kind of went through the supplies, and we found something that might help with dealing with elementals and stuff. Got some potions that make us, resistant to fire. Might help. And we've got some, in case we're dealing with excessive fire elementals, we've got some the throwables, I suppose, and if you throw them, a blast of frost explodes. That might help with the fire guys.
I like those glass fire extinguishers you get.
Yeah. They're just like
Yeah.
little like enchanted glass. He shows one. It's like a glass
Do you know the fire
ball.
extinguishers I mean?
No idea.
So before actual fire extinguishers used to be like little glass baubles full of.
Bauble.
Originally, I think it was water,
Yeah.
but you throw that at a fire.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't know. But they're like they're like these glass, like they are like glass baubles, and they have like an enchanted like blue like fog encompassing it. You throw this, and just a giant frost explosion happens that might help. Other than that, we'll just use me old hammer and lady there stab him with her daggers, and maybe toss a spell or two at them when she can. That's about our skill sets. I'm more of the upfront slam things type of guy, and she's a little more tactful,
You and Nicole will get along just fine.
Cool said, just nodding at him, just like.
You can see now the hammer that he carries has a hue to it, like a shimmer, shimmer to it that would give away that it's enchanted in some way, shape, or form.
I don't have spell prepared.
All right. Well, I guess
Well, it's
we'll go.
it's close to sundown, but if it's a pressing matter, we can go now. And we'll make
no,
up
we
camp
can-
into the forest, or do you
I
It'd be
don't.
nice to camp in the forest. Would be quite
Yeah.
Yeah, I think getting a little head start might be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we thought as well.
Okay.
So we just readied ourselves, but I figured I'd offer it in case. But
Do you know if there's any ponds near here?
But don't mind him. Not wait till we
No,
get a bit
but
further
like-
afield.
well,
good
there are
camp out
ponds eastward, but the closer east we get, the more corrupted the forest becomes. So
Yeah. This is why the animals are getting sick. I don't think you want to eat anything from where we're going. Stick to our rations.
you can see, like, as
really
Trymella is kind of like, or I said Trymella. Oh boy,
You did.
is like taking a little bit more of the forefront of this like expedition and telling you guys that it's not smart, like taking lead in some way. You can see this father approving, like nodding, large smile on his face, kind of like as every time Jim starts talking to the group in like a, oh, we shouldn't do that, we should do this kind of manner, just grabs his wife and just kind of almost is like, that's our daughter, like very proud. Very proud.
She's nodding there.
Rox looks dejected by this.
Cool.
Dan's just got like a half smirk. Seems quite.
We really are
proud.
the three stages, like disappointed, like middle ground, and Nicole just straight up ecstatic. He's so happy. He's so excited. He's just like, yes.
Right,
First party member with functional family confirmed.
I mean,
party
functional.
member.
I mean, my family are alive.
I said functional.
Functional.
That means
Yeah.
more
They
than
Right.
function perfectly well without
You're
me.
also related to a god, so there's that.
Yeah, but that's like distant relation.
That's
like,
beside
yeah.
the point.
you
That's
know,
my
we could get
second
married
cousin
in
3
Elf
times
States.
removed. Definitely out of that.
Right, I think we'll have another good 2 hours of as much sunlight as you can get in this forest, but want to get to move on, we'll get a little head start and then we'll make camp. I think Hilda has a little trick up her sleeve that can make our camp a little more comfortable.
Exciting.
Let's set off then. I don't know if you intend to hold on to those potions you mentioned, or
We have 5 in total, so if we just kind of like spread them around, not for everyone, but you know.
I don't need them. This armor's quite flame resistant.
Very good, very good.
Like Tannis will. I am fire resistant anyway.
All right, well then, I'll have one. The wife gets one. Trim gets one.
I'll take one as well.
You want one? There's one
Please,
more.
Thank you.
I'm alright. Keep on just in case, spared in case. Don't know if we happen to pick up anyone else on the way, but I doubt it. You never know. Always have a
To
spare.
Elevante.
I'll take the last one if y'all don't mind. Takes
I
the...
definitely didn't forget he was here.
We don't mind, but
means that the next like session or two, I'll be role playing 3 NPCs with you guys at all times. Feels good, man.
It could be worse. It could be. Worse.
But yeah,
Just make Soka play Elevante.
You're the one who
I
put my
could.
parents here. They didn't have to.
I
be
did.
here.
because I wanted you.
He's
I
also the one
wanted.
that's
I
going
wanted
to kill
Trim's trek to her home province to be a little less comfortable as just being able to avoid everyone she's ever met because.
Okay, so we're never going to the flatlands.
Because of the fucking little hermit crab that she is.
We need to find her a hat
Grab on my hat.
to sit on.
Right. Well,
Okay.
then I suggest we keep moving. Me and the wife, we know this woods like a back pocket, so we'll take the lead. I already have a bit of a campsite in mind, roughly 3 to 4 hours away from here.
Sounds
Fine by me.
so good to me.
All right.
While
You
we're
guys
traveling, I just want to
leave?
ask how like the cousins are doing and just have if they've heard from anyone recently because we're all very spread out.
Last thing we heard was a few months ago. Some of the Stronghearts are up in the Flatlands, aiding with the fight against the orcs. That's the last we've heard.
Okay.
It's really hard to get a grasp of what's happening in the rest of the world in this province. It's so
Yeah. See, I
disconnected.
kind of liked that, but I think
it's alright, but you know, adventuring is in our blood, and let's just say that we've been talking a lot, and after you were born, we decided to retire from adventuring. But the truth be told, I think we'll this adventure was the last little push we needed to convince us that maybe it's time to get back to our old ways and travel around a little more and see what the world has to offer.
I do not recommend the 9 Hells. It was not fun.
Well, I can imagine. You know, it's the 9 Hells. It's not supposed to be fun, but I do envy you a little bit for going there. I can only imagine the horrors you've seen, the creatures you've fought, man. And he's like in awe, like he's like.
I would willingly erase that whole experience, to be honest.
You might sell for a pretty price.
What?
Stop.
There was an incident involving
No.
slavery and selling of just forget about it.
No, I love your spirit, but fucking hell, man. you don't know how to make a parent worry, do you?
I would like to specify that the incident was not someone actually being sold into slavery. It was a means of getting inside somewhere.
I mean,
that's what we tell them, anyways.
technically, money exchanged hands, and I mean, like if we hadn't have got you back, it technically counted. It was legally binding.
Technically, no. I was never your property to sell.
Fair point. And by we, you mean Octanus. Point.
That's a good point.
Right. Kind of looks at his wife. You lot remind us of of us back in the day, really. This very disorganized group of people that were just trying to get by and got themselves in a lot more trouble than they could have. You know, they could have avoided a lot of trouble easily. So it's good to see that adventuring hasn't changed over the years, I suppose.
Did your group have a name?
We just went by the Strong Hearts. Our name
Just our
carried
family name.
our name carried a lot of weight with.
We're not really
lot of
sure
people-
whether the name came first or we just chose to live up to it because we think about it.
Yeah,
Strong
it's been a
Heart.
name for
It's
generations,
Pretty on the nose.
Have I ever heard of anything
you know?
like that in my travels? It's been around a while, you know.
I'll roll a history check.
No one knows if we took the name after we
16.
started adventuring or if we just adventured because it was our name. We don't really know.
You never really made the connection because Trim didn't really seem the adventuring type to you.
Yeah.
But hearing this, the name Strongheart does faintly ring a bell. You've read about them. You've read about group of adventurers that did similar things that you guys now do. Just travel
We
around.
tended to stick out
beat
because
some baddies.
people thought it was really weird for a small family to do big things.
She means literally small, as we're all halflings. There were lots of us, but just we were physically very tiny.
Not many halflings really enjoyed that lifestyle. A lot of them, like me in my hut a few days ago, that's halflings. That's what we normally like.
Yeah, there's been times where I, had my doubts that she was really my daughter, but this proves that she is. She's finally found that taste of adventure after all, even though she probably doesn't like to admit it. But she's here, adventuring. This is great. This is great.
There's a difference between liking adventure and just choosing to save your home because you need a place to live.
Well, fair enough, but are you saying that once this adventure is over, you're done? You're going back to your hut and you're retiring?
I'm saying I don't know and I haven't thought that far yet, okay?
Exactly.
And just walk a little bit faster.
I'll like kind of grab his parents a little bit and just be like, well, she's a fully fledged member of the Heroes of Exile, so I hope she doesn't retire anytime soon.
Yeah, she does
And
have a room being
as-
made for her.
Yeah,
out in
she does have a
Calvere, so-
yeah, and the guild hall as well. She did help a lot with the planning of that, so
That's great. That's good.
I think she's got a long time left with
Or even putting a big tree in there for her.
Very good. Very good.
Did you say Trim's walking out front? Like,
Yeah, because I just was like, I just don't want to.
have the conversation with the
about
parents, like, Mom, tell your
It's like,
business me in front of my friends.
Yeah,
I
Mom,
am
God.
going to walk up to the front and talk in a low voice so that only Trim can hear me.
Okay.
I disagree with the sentiments of your dad says he means well, but you're the child whether you adventure or not, and whether you want to stay or not, you've done a number of things that you should be proud of. I'm gonna walk away.
Toxic masculinity, it's fine.
I'd like to imagine Naronk Nectana started just talking to her parents about embarrassing stories. The
Oh,
whole time.
Nicole, 100%. It's like it's doing that again. It's that bigging up. The
When was
friends
the
a little
first
bit too
time that
hard.
Trim got drunk?
Yeah.
I mean, most of like Trim's early adults and like teenage early adult years, she spent being trained by the druids in
Or
Camp
living by
Sarai,
myself.
or living by herself. So like it's
They
like
haven't
when
seen me
they haven't
since
seen
small-
her in
Yeah.
a long time.
Like I wrote letters to them. Like it's not like I became like estranged, but they haven't physically seen me in person for a while.
Yeah.
Although I was still the same size last time they saw me. But...
Yeah, that you were.
There's the baby picture out.
So I stopped growing at like 10 years old, basically.
You travel for about 4 hours, and then you come to a small clearing, and Hilda looks at you. All right, I think we're here. And she starts. Hold on. Yeah, that would fit exactly. She starts conjuring a spell, and her hands start to
Scanlan
glow.
Mansion.
Start to glow. That's a very high level spell, my dear. And her hands start to glow purple color, and all of a sudden, in front of you, a purple dome appears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. There's enough space in that dome for 9 of us, which is exactly the amount of people we have here, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think, or is it 8?
We got 8.
It's 8.
8.
I can count. Still doesn't matter. Still fits. Basically, what the spell does is the only creatures or beings that can enter the place are the creatures or beings that I give permission to enter. I can control the weather conditions in the dome, so I can make it nice and warm and dimly lit and all that. And it's just a little bit of an extra security measure. Whereas, we won't have to worry about things sneaking up on us at night because they will physically not be able to enter.
That's a
I
good
like
magic,
this
that.
plan.
No. Into the dome.
Alright. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she, lets you all pass and then enters herself. And the inside is a very pleasant temperature, very nice and snug. The inside looks just like, forest ground and whatnot, but it's nice and snug temperature-wise. As everyone enters, she makes the lighting inside of the dome dimly lit, so you can still see, and the strong heart starts unpacking a bedroll and laying down. Right, well, I think it's a good idea to get some sleep, and early tomorrow morning we'll get going.
I have an idea. I look at my dad for like, hey, Dad.
Yes.
You know what? I think just as a fun, I've heard. I mean, I haven't done it because I have an unfair advantage. That strength is or disadvantage. Strength is not my strong suit, but
Mhm.
I've heard that there's a bit of an initiation that you guys normally do. Maybe you could do it for me. Have you ever heard of a game called Wrestle Arms?
Arm wrestling. Yes, I've heard of it.
Okay,
I
but
think
our
you're
name's
mistaken. I'm
better.
pretty sure it's called Wrestle Arms.
Everywhere I've gone, it's a cool wrestler. It's a cultural thing, a generation thing, I think.
Right. Yes, I've arm wrestled before. Is this like
Fancy
when you go to a school, you pick the biggest guy in the playground and beat him in arm wrestling to make sure that they don't bully you? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I know. The biggest guy is that one right there, and I point to Octanus.
Octanus just
Oh,
sort of
no, that's
flexes
not.
with
And then
both
when he
arms.
puts Octanus, I look a bit. I'm like, I wanted him to face Nicole.
I mean, he can face me if he wants. To say, if he wants the toughest and the biggest, Octanus.
Well, I never shy away from a challenge, so if anyone wants to wrestle arm with me, I'll gladly accept.
Nicole,
The kind
do
of
you want to do it or shall I?
I mean, I'll warm him up for you because it goes sometimes. And I start doing the ground's a bit uneven, so who knows? Might there's no box or anything. So I guess I'll just like lay down on the ground to get like somewhere, or just tree stump or something.
I can take care of that. As Hilda speaks up and starts conjuring another spell, and a floating disc of like rock appears, big, kind of like a table-esque.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's a table. That's a good size.
No
Yeah.
excuses now.
All right then, and I'll get ready to wrestle.
All right.
Wrestle
He
together.
clasps your big hand, and roll a strength check.
This is gonna say bad. Oh fuck me. That's a 13.
It's a 23. Just,
Continue the game.
just, and your hand just smacks against the rock disc. That was fun. Anyone else?
I think I was fully warmed up. I'll give it one more.
All right, fair enough.
I look cool. I was like, give me just a second. Starts doing some arm stretches, just like fucking there's a couple of practice swings with the
I rolled a natural 19, man.
yeah, there's a couple of practice swings like with the great club. Just like, all right, I'm ready this time. I'm like, I was going easy on you because felt a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll see how it goes. I know. Go again.
Okay.
I get my fucking ass handed to me now. I said that. Fuck it,
You just nat 20'd it.
I'm gonna use a point of luck. Fuck it, why not? I can use luck.
You have luck.
Yeah, fuck. We're about to a long rest. I got luck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll keep that. That's decent.
Mm-hmm.
21.
Natural 20.
Yeah, that's all I'm not wasting 2 points of luck for a fucking.
Just
Why? You're going to bed, Smile.
Should just used all of your luck.
again. He just. You put up a little bit more of a fight, but he just.
Fair.
I rolled this
kinda
dice,
just
and
sighs.
a panther head just looked at me, and I was like,
And you're like, hello. I panther dice. Curses. No.
"Yeah, your panther dice are lit, bro."
I'll kind of go to. Yeah, see, like I said, I'm not like the best at it. Like, it's not really my game at all. Like, definitely, like, no, it's just some of the others play. Just I play it from the big one, So really, Octanus is the.
All right. Well, if she wants to have a go, I can have one more game before we go to bed.
I hate this game.
A natural
Like,
19 and a
just
natural
like-
20, bro. Like,
Walks over, pats Nicole on the shoulder as he gets up.
I'm like,
Replaces
no.
him.
And I kind of like as he passes out, I grab it like which way. I'm like, no mercy.
I understand.
oh god. All right.
Kill it. No.
So he waits for Octanus to kind of like sit down at the table that was made, and clasps her hand. Roll a strength check.
Actanis is just gonna
What the fuck?
Actanis is just gonna look him in the eyes and is going to rage.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, that was another funny.
And it's a strength check, right? Not
Strength,
strength.
strength check. Yeah.
Oh, there's a saving throw. I'd be all over this. I get 10. 1.
You both rolled that 20s.
You also
Or
rolled that
I really
20?
hope she rolls at that one. Oh, no, okay.
Because I roll with advantage because she's raging.
Yeah, that's true.
So now 20, 23.
Nat 20, 24, but you know, 2 nat 20s, so you don't move. You
You
just
just
don't move.
walked there and
Just
like...
locked into position.
You guys
Roll
can
again.
start, by the way.
Veins on their arm.
Like roll again. Fucking hell.
3 nat 20s in a row. That should go for the turkey.
No.
That weird
Do you
horse.
want me to take a photo?
laugh.
Hang on.
We gotta see this. It's gotta be. Is it?
Oh, it's
crotch shot.
Yeah,
Nice.
we can't really see it.
That's
Oh, wait,
the-
wait. It's a funky
Zoom
symbol.
Are you okay?
20. No,
Where?
not, no.
I don't even see the dice.
I've just knocked it.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
In hand. Zoom in hand. Zoom in hand.
It was a 20.
It
Uh,
has-
yeah.
has-
Eventually, after being locked in place for so long, Ictanus pushes down the hand and wins. And he kind of grabs his hand, kind of like loosens his wrist a little bit. Not stronger than that one.
I am aware.
All the.
Right. This was fun and all, but I think it's time for us to get some rest, and we'll leave early in the morning. All right.
Sounds good to me.
Yep,
I
sounds
think
good to
that's
me.
a sensible idea.
And with that, the disc of like stone disappears, and everybody gets tucked in, and the temperature inside the dome is very comfortable, very nice and warm. And eventually, Hilda kind of like moves her, like flicks her wrists, and the dim light goes completely dark. And you guys all get some sleep.
When I wake up before everyone, I want to move about 30 feet away from everybody outside the dome and
Okay.
Start working on a grenade.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right. Roll tinkering check. And how long are you like working on that?
For the 4 hours before everyone else wakes up.
Okay.
I think.
Roll tinkering check.
Yeah, we'll go by solid this roll. That's a 26.
Yeah, you spend enough time where you can craft one fragmentation grenade.
Sweet.
Okay. Eventually, you all wake up. Hilda flicks her wrist and dimly lights up the inside of the dome. All right. Morning, everyone. Ready to set off?
I
Yep.
think so.
Let's go. I say with shaky trepidation in my voice.
Let's go save ourselves a forest.
Right. She makes the dome disappear, and you all see now Naronk at the outside of the dome that just finished, put something in his bag, and walks towards you. And the Stronghearts grab some rations from their bag and start chowing down on those, and eventually lead you further into the forest. And the journey goes relatively well the first half of the day, but after that you get a different vibe from the forest. It feels a lot like that feeling of this forest is alive that you have the entire way through so far fades. Some of the trees have these blighted spots on them. Also, when you take a second and listen, you hear no animals, no birds, no rustling in bushes.
I would like to, also, the second that kind of will start, you get that feeling, start seeing more dead. I'd like to just keep an eye out for any kind of bigger footmarks that could be made by something like a heavy elemental. Kind of looking for heavy prints.
Roll perception check.
Perception. 17.
Not yet. Not at this part of the forest. As you go deeper, the grass starts to turn to this yellowish, dried out to just black. The deeper into the forest you go, trees lose their leaves and are just nothing more but these blackened husks of what used to be probably a very beautiful tree. And eventually you make it to a clearing. And in this clearing, you see a collapsed tree. And a fucking huge collapsed tree. Big enough... without a doubt, the biggest tree that once stood in this forest. Trim, you know of this tree, or what it used to be. It used to be a central place in the forest that was seen as a sanctuary of Melora. There's almost like Yggdrasil-like tree, so tall above any of the other trees in the forest. But it seems to have collapsed, and it also has this blackened color. And
I walk up to the tree slowly, just kind of kneel in front of it as eyes water, and just put my hand out to touch the tree.
where you go to touch the tree, it starts to crumble.
Quickly pull my hand back. And just while I'm kneeling there, just mostly in my head, mostly just muttering sounds and moving my lips to match the words in my head, but not really talking. Again, just say some sort of small prayer to Melora along the lines of we'll find the person that did this, or help us find the person that did this so we can keep your forest safe, something like that.
Okay. You press on into the forest, past the collapsed tree, to find in the distance, through the various dead trees, you see what looks like a fortress, completely made
Uh-oh.
out of dead tree husks.
Ew.
surrounding the fortress, you see various elementals, fire elementals, just dragging around, leaving nothing but char and burn marks as they move around. Water elementals kind of floating over the ground, leaving a path of ice. Air elementals flying around the forest up in the air, or the fortress up in the air. And earth elementals just lumbering. But all these elementals look... there's something about them. They look like elementals, but they seem corrupted in a way. Black spots cover these elementals. And they seem... They seem to be classic, elementals, but something has corrupted them.
Okay.
And they all kind of patrol around the fortress. And then you hear a rumble. A loud roar. As from behind the fortress, a large dinosaur.
Oh, great.
But not just a dinosaur. It seems to be a large skeleton. A walking T-Rex skeleton. Just
It's Metal Greymon. Oh no.
Oh, fuck.
Or Skull Greymon. What's his name? There we go. There we go. I just totally fucked that up.
Digital monsters, Digimon, the champion.
and that is where we're going to end it for tonight. It's been a little bit of a shorter session, but I got a lot of once we go in here, there's a lot of shit.
We need a session.
Yeah.
Because there's a lots of elementals to fight. There's the dinosaur to fight. You have to play my parents as well.
If we engage this now, we'll be here for another 2 hours, and that's just a little,
we can just be here for 7 hours. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the smart one and say this is where we end it, and we'll pick this up next week.
Probably a good idea.
Plot twist. So many things.
But good question as well. I'm gonna ask before we think. Is there quite an obvious entrance to this fortress, or does it look like there's kind of no way in, no way out?
It's hard to tell. It was hard to tell.
Okay.
How many elementals were there total?
Hard to tell.
A lot. Hard to tell. Yeah.
Okay.
In metric tons.
I got all excited. I was like, maybe I could try dispel magic. Then I realized this choose up to one creature area or spell effect. So I couldn't just be zap them all away. I could maybe if it worked, make one of them go away.
I'd choose the big skeleton dinosaur, to be honest with you.
I mean, I'll be fine as long as we kill the non-fire ones.
I'll be fine. Apart from the air ones.
Shorter session, but next week is gonna be a very interesting one, and I have a lot of stuff to prepare as well. So, fucking hell, dude, this has been fun. Stream experience, guys.
Resistant or immune
To what?
fire?
Cold and fire, immune.
Immune, buddy.
Hey,
Damn.
bud, look at me and you.
Want to thank y'all so much for watching, as always.
Thanks for DMing.
And
We getting southern.
we'll see you next time. And who are we gonna host today, boys?
Hanzo's streaming.
I was like,
Bree's
Hanzo's streaming or Bree is streaming.
We'll throw the host to Hanzo. Playing Overwatch with Duke.
Oh boy.
I'm going to play some Apex with Hanzo when this is over. So.
So see you guys next time. Have a good
The
one.
dice bag grows heavier. I love it.
Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.
Yes, that will be fully operational.